Welcome to Spiritual and Sassy, the podcast where we bleed deep soul wisdom with authentic confidence.
We're your host,
Tressa
and Myra, and together we'll explore the mystical side of life, challenge societal norms and programming, and embrace our inner power.
Whether you're on a spiritual journey or just love a little sass, this space is for you.
Let's dive in and light up the world with a little more love.
Hello.
Hello.
We need a new start. Hello.
I know, it's awful.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's not it. No.
Listener land, we'll come up with something better.
We'll figure it out. I don't know what it is. But it's not that. It's not that. No. But it is. We're back on a Sunday.
I know. This is our new routine. I kind of like it.
I do too. But
Works out good.
yeah, I like it. It's easy. My kids, minus a couple episodes ago, or whatever episode it was, usually they're usually doing their thing, and everybody tries to nap in this.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, mom's not around, because I don't nap. I'm not a napper, and I don't usually chill. I should chill better, I guess. That's what I need to work on maybe in life, but everyone else does. And so they're like, oh cool, mom's not around, so we can all sleep. So there's no pressure of her like wanting to do something.
Yeah, I love napping on Sundays. I am a napper.
It just throws me off. I don't
Really?
know. It throws me so off. And I don't know. I used to nap on Sundays when I was younger, but now it's like I wake up and I feel groggy. I don't know. It's not it. But
Not for you.
not
Yeah.
for me, no. But it's nice and warm, and we got new patio furniture, so maybe I'll try napping on my patio furniture on my deck or something.
There you go. Get some sun.
Yeah.
Vitamin
and
D.
just- yeah, that's what I've been trying to do anyways.
Yeah.
Get some sun. Maybe I'll nap, get some sun, rest, leave everyone alone. Maybe everybody will be happier.
There
So
you go. Yeah.
all of
I don't
the
know.
above.
I'll nap anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, you do. Guys, in listening land, when I used to go with conferences with Tressa, she's like, I'm just going to take a power nap. I'm like, yeah, you do you. I'm like, okay, sure. Like, if I nap, I'm not waking up. Like, that's over.
Yeah, I do like 20, 30 minutes and feel amazing.
I wish I could. You know, Blake can do that too. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I'll just go on lunch. He'll go and nap for like, he's like, I just need 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he's fine. And I cannot. Maybe I'm just too wired. Maybe it's my 17 cups of coffee I've had in a day. I don't know. Other
It's
issues.
like a reset. It's a way to just do a quick reset, you know? I don't know. Lately I still set my alarms, but like I've just kind of been putting this intention out. Like I wake up at a certain time. So like today I had my alarm set for 9:30.
Yes.
Sadly, that's just in case. But because I stay up late, I'm a night owl, so I didn't go to bed till like, I don't know, probably 12:30 last night, maybe 1. So, but I woke up at like 9:25. I've just been waking up like right before my alarm goes off. So I've been doing that on my naps too. Like if I lay down, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wake up in 45 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. Yeah, and
That's nice.
it's been working. Yeah.
I should try that.
You should try
Speaking of alarm clocks, though, there's this new alarm clock that wakes you up to like, it honestly sounds like a sound bath, you know, or it sounds like meditation sounds. I'm totally not using the right word here, but it's like gongs or chimes and it's like a gradual wake up. It's more
That's
peaceful
cool.
instead of like an alarm right now might be burr, burr, you know, like with loud blaring, or sometimes it's music and the music could be loud depending on whatever you pick. But this new alarm clock, it's pretty cool, and it's just like a normal box with a timer and these sounds that come on, and you can it has like meditations built in and sleep sounds and sleep meditations into the machine.
That's cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it's really
I'm gonna
nifty.
have to check that out.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. I can't
send me
think of
the
the
link.
name of it. It was served to me on Instagram, and I've been making a list of Mother's Day items. And we don't even do that. Like, honestly, we really don't. I mean, and if we do anything, I usually get like flowers and like flower planters or like a bird feeder. You know, I'm turning into my granny era where I watch birds and plant flowers. But it's something simple, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I told Blake, I'm like, this could be a really cool Mother's Day gift. And he's like, maybe, we'll see.
We'll see.
So I'll have to
Yeah,
send
I
it
want
to
to
you.
check it out.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it. If I figure it out, I'll link it in the show too. So maybe they'll come
that'd be
sponsor
good.
us if I can get their
Yeah,
name right.
there you go.
Yeah,
Sounds perfect.
yeah, so it's right up our alley, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Because I don't wake up well. Let's just say that nicely, I guess. But once I'm up, I'm up. And I'm ready for the day and I'm ready to do anything. Getting up though, I struggle, but I like to stay up later. But then I stay up too. I haven't really figured out my sleep balance. Maybe
Hmm.
I should work on that. Honestly, this
Yeah.
podcast just reveals things to me that I should probably think about.
Yeah, right. It helps us.
Like, oh,
Like, oh
okay.
yeah, I should probably.
Hmm.
You know what I've always said is would be the most effective alarm system ever?
What's
The
that?
sound of like, when your dog's getting
Oh
ready to
yeah. Oh
puke.
hell yeah. Oh yeah.
Nothing gets you out of bed faster than that.
No, nope. Yeah, I
Yeah, you start to
like
hear that, you're like, shit.
yeah, you are so right. This is awful, but I wake up faster to that than I do for my kids. And I'm just
Do
gonna
you?
be honest. Yes. Like, and it's so funny because yes, I wake up for my kids, Listenerland, but the dog thing though, there is nothing and it's crazy. I could be dead to the world asleep.
Yeah.
And I hear the
That.
yeah or whatever, like I hear that or I hear anything crinkle and I'm like shit. And I am up faster than the speed of light, moving them around, walking them
Yeah,
around,
trying to get them to
trying to yeah.
the space in your home that doesn't have carpet.
Yeah, I'm like, you were allowed to puke here, and open the bathroom door here on the floor. Whatever you got to do, bro. Or like whatever's happening, or don't eat my shoe, because they like to do that. They're getting older and they'll still randomly want to screw something. They're like, oh, you didn't look at me enough today. I'm going to eat your shoe, or not enough pets, You're right, though. That is the best alarm.
Yeah.
That shoots me to the
We should
moon.
invent that.
Yeah.
It's probably out there already, but anyway, I want to get the one you're talking about. That sounds much more
Peaceful.
appealing. Peaceful.
I'll find it. I'll send it to you.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, what are we going to chat about today?
Today, we're going to talk about codependency.
Codependency.
Yeah, it's like my
Yeah.
radio voice.
I like it. She went into like her 95.5 voice.
I did.
Yeah. Her radio voice.
Codependency. Yeah.
Codependency. Yeah, codependency. Yeah, I think the definition of codependency, sacrificing your own needs for the needs of others. And it's interesting. I wonder how often we all do that.
A lot.
I
And
think a lot.
oh yeah. What's funny? It's not even funny. I hate that expression and I use it like 95.5% of my life, What's funny, but nothing's funny. Is that before we started recording Listenerland, Tressa and I were just naturally talking about this topic, and then parts of it, and then we formed this like a overall arching theme, with it because we were just chatting about normal life things, and it came out. It's just something that I think everyone goes through and everyone experiences often. When we were chatting, I was looking up some stuff and thinking about, so, I love that Tressa shared the definition of codependency because I do think that's important to really define what does that even mean, because a lot of people, I see this happen a lot with terms like narcissism. You tell someone one thing about narcissistic tendencies, and now everybody's a narcissist, but really they're the narcissist too. And it's one of those things that kind of snowballs, and we never want to go around self-diagnosing people. That's not from love, that's not a place, unless it's from a place of love, but that's usually not the intent. So something that I was reading about too, some common traits of codependency could include difficulty setting healthy boundaries, over-pleasing others or feeling responsible for others' emotions, low self-esteem or self-worth, and a tendency to stay in a toxic or dysfunctional relationship. And so those were just some of the common traits that were seeing and put together and jotted down real fast before we started. And those things, really resonated with me because when I was talking with Tressa before the episode, I was really talking mostly about the difficulty setting healthy boundaries, especially with family, friends, family mostly, but those people who you think you have to continue to give and give and give and give to. And when stopping that giving and setting the boundary is one of the most difficult things I think there is in life sometimes, is trying to really set healthy boundaries with those people.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think most of us understand what a healthy boundary even is.
Mm-mm.
I think that's part of the problem, right? And especially when we're talking about like our close relatives, our family, our friends, I think a lot of times those boundaries have never been defined.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, like continuing to give and try to keep everything kind of peaceful, right? If
Yeah.
you will, keep everybody happy, keep everything flowing, and especially as women, I learned this the other day, found this really, really interesting. 80% of autoimmune diseases happen in females.
Wow.
80%.
That's crazy.
I believe that it is because of the way that we've been structured, society, programming, all of those things, that women have to be these caretakers. They have to keep everything balanced, right? You've got your spouse or your partner and your kids and your job, and you're trying to keep everybody happy, right? That is a lot of pressure on somebody. And when you think about dis-ease within the body, I believe that's where I believe everything comes from that, right? You don't separate the body from the mind, from the spirit. It's all one. And when there's all of that pressure, there's going to be dis-ease within the body. But a lot of that comes from exactly what we're talking about, these codependencies, right? Or putting this pressure on, putting yourself in the back seat and putting everybody else's needs above your own. And I think that's the exact opposite of what you should be doing. As I work with clients, and I work with a lot of women, and they believe that it's a selfish act. I've heard people say this to me so many times. It's a selfish act to put themselves before their children, for example, right? When we start talking about self-care. And I'll ask, like, what's your self-care routine look like? And they're like, that doesn't exist. Like, when would I have time for that? But I truly, truly believe when you start to put yourself first and you do things for yourself in a very protected way, time protected, that you show up so much more fully for your family, for your friends, for your children, for your partner, whatever that looks like.
Well, I agree 100%. I really often do not share like how I balance things with moms or mom groups because I really don't fit in very well and because I have a different viewpoint. I believe if I'm taking care of myself first, then I'm able to be the mom that my children need, the wife that my husband needs. I'm the employee, my company, or whatever. I don't care what it is, but I have to start with me. But it's also the highest form of self-love. I have to take care of myself or I can't take care of other people. And, I have people in mom groups or friends that talk about, no, I can never do that. I can't read a book. I can't do this or I can't, haha. So I go get my nails done. I get my nails done. I wish I got them done a lot more than I used to more in Wyoming because I had a lady and I adore her and we had a routine. Here, I don't have as much of a routine with it, but I still figure it out because getting my nails done, something as simple as paint on my nails makes me feel good. And when I feel good, then I feel happier. It brings joy to me. It's something simple that I'm doing for me. Am I neglecting my children? No, I'm not. And I pick my kids up from school. I do all the things. We're reading. We're learning spelling words. We're teaching Draco words. We're teaching him how to walk. We're playing. It's a full effort, but I'm also still taking care of me. When my kids go to sleep, I read a book. I work out at lunch or I work out early in the morning. I figure out how to make time for me in between the time for them too, because all those things equal self-care for Myra. I honestly, what I tell people when I do share things, because I'm often looked at like I'm crazy, is it's your perception of the energy you're putting out. We say this all the time, the energy that you put out. If I'm walking around saying I don't have time to do this and this and this, you're not going to have time. I just don't put that out there. I just take care of me so that I can be able to take care of others. I, do all the things that I want to do, still figure it out, and it all works out. It all happens together. No one's missing out. Me getting my hair done or me washing my face at night and adding moisturizer to it isn't impacting Draco's development. It's not. He still is taken care of and he still feels loved, but I'm able to give him fully me taking with these versions of whatever self-care equals, you know, and I might not get to go off and do retreats every night, you know, or whatever, but that's okay. Like there's still a balance of what it looks like. And so I just tell people, especially in that situation, that it's whatever you put out there. And if I just walk in with the positive mindset and I just don't even start with the negative in mind, then none of those things happen for me. Everything always flows like it needs to flow. I've been in positions where I've traveled the whole country and my kids are fine. Everyone's fine. My husband's fine. And they love me and no one's questioning my love for them. You know what I mean? Nobody's upset. And now I'm in a role where I get to work remotely and I get to spend more time with my kids. Things are in balance because I put the energy out there for it to flow naturally. Is everything still in flow? So with that, I feel like it's whatever intention you walk into, that is what you're going to get. So if you say you're not going to have time, you won't have time. That's just what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, energy flows where your attention goes, right? And if that's your mindset, that's what you will bring to yourself, that I have limited time, that I can't make this happen. And a couple of things I want to just talk about that you'd said is, you know, my kids aren't missing out if I do self-care for myself. And I want to take that even deeper. Actually, your kids are getting the best version of you when you can do whatever that self-care looks like for you, right? And so I encourage everybody to come up with because self-care to me could be completely different than what it is to you. So I encourage people to come up with a routine that they do daily, weekly, and monthly. And when you think about self-care, think about the 3 things that you've got to consider: mind, body, and spirit. And you need self-care around all of those. Right? You need, because I'm like you. For me, like having my nails painted is important. So I make sure that I do that, right? For my body, I go to the gym or I hike. I need movement for my body, right? Mm-hmm. For my soul, I do meditation. I do prayer. I do intention. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll listen to, different people's podcasts, right? When I have a little more time. Mm-hmm. So when you think about self-care, you've got to think about it in those different aspects and make sure that you're getting something in all 3 of those buckets to help you be balanced. But even if, you don't see when you're using your kids as an example, some people mm-hmm. believe that quantity of time, I've been with my kids for 8 hours. Okay, but if you didn't fill yourself up first, what were those 8 hours doing? Were you on your phone? Were you watching mm-hmm. TV? Were you really present with your children? Mm-hmm. Or did you spend 2 hours where you were fully present, mm-hmm. right? You didn't let anything distract you because you had taken the time to do self-care. You had set up those healthy boundaries around that time. I'm pretty strict around my self-care and I keep those boundaries tight. I only miss my own self-care if it's really dire, somebody truly needs me. Other than that, it is protected. And my Troy knows, like mm-hmm. every morning, when I shut my door, I'm grounding, I'm meditating. It is my protected time. Mm-hmm. So unless the house is burning down, don't bug me.
Don't come calling.
And if more people could start to do that, they could see how their relationships start to improve. And you have the quality of the relationship versus the quantity.
I agree. And I think too, especially in my relationship with partners, whoever or whatever it is, my current partner is my husband, yay. But whatever that partner is for you, when you both have your own set routines and self-care, whatever that looks like, then they're also in a respected space too. If I know that I'm going to do this at this time, okay, here's a great example. Blake did the basketball league. That was his self-care. I knew it was these days on these times. I do the podcast on Sundays. This is a form of self-care for me. This is one of those things where it's like, okay, mommy's doing this at this time and dad does things with the kids. That's okay. It's an hour and a half of my life that I'm doing for me, and I come out of this feeling great and I'm excited, and then I can go and be present with them. And it's those things though, when you have those type of healthy relationships where boundaries are respected for both partners, if you're talking partner, I think that's where you can even grow in your relationships and really develop a different kind of bond, because then you're not, I have a friend who was in a marriage where she couldn't even swipe her debit card without feeling guilty,
Mm-hmm.
or like he watched the bank account, he received text messages, or she wanted to be with students after school. She wanted to coach and she felt guilty coaching. She had to rush home. For what? For who? And they're not even
Mm-hmm.
together anymore. But it's in those moments, her time was not protected. It wasn't protected for her. His time was protected. So there wasn't a balance in the relationship. So if he went hunting, if he went fishing, if he did this or did that, or whatever he chose to do in his profession, he sometimes had to travel. Those times were respected without question. But her space was always questioned. And so
Mm-hmm.
I bring that up to say, when you're in those moments, I mean, she was codependent. That was just a very much codependent relationship. It brings up one of the other things I said was the tendency to stay in those dysfunctional relationships. Like I called it a veil. Like she had this veil in front of her face the whole time. Like everyone saw what was going on. She'd been with this person for years. They were high school sweethearts. It was happening then. It happened when they became more adults. It happened in the
Mm-hmm.
marriage. It just never ended. It was never going to end. It was never going to change. But until she had the moment, and I said the veil was lifted, then
Mm-hmm.
she could see, like, you got your rose colored glasses are off, or whatever, the fog, whatever anyone wants to call it. She could finally see. But in those moments, because she was so codependent, she just stayed in this dysfunctional relationship. She couldn't leave it. She couldn't set the healthy boundaries. She was too busy over pleasing. She was too busy trying to give herself more and more and more and more to something that was never going to exist or work. And it could have, maybe, but the two people had to figure it out together. One had to heal in one direction and another had to heal in another. But that was just not going to happen in this timeline. I just don't ever, I will never, I don't think there is what ifs with that situation. But she chose to stay in it, and then it did impact her self-worth. It did impact her self-esteem. And those are things that she carries still to this day, because that relationship was just a full-blown codependency, and it just was a constant cycle that was never going to end for her.
Yeah. I mean, as you described that, this individual, when we get into these deep codependencies like that, it is usually a sign that the individual lacks self-love, right? And they kind of get addicted to it. So like this friend was allowing the behavior because it gave her purpose, right? He was her purpose. And that shows, that goes into your solar plexus, that self-love, right? And it is an addiction, right? And that's why those two people came together. And it's interesting because, as you said, she's no longer in the relationship. If she's done the work, then she could have a completely different relationship. If she's done the work on her own self-love and really building that up, chances are, if she hasn't, she's entered into a different type of relationship that still has codependencies, but just probably has different lipstick on it.
It does.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
You will find that until you change the internal vibration, right? And that's building up your own self-love. You will match up to something similar. You won't get away from those things until you start to see those things, right? And I continue to talk about that acknowledgement, understanding where you're at, and truly being honest with yourself is 80 to 90% of the work. Most of the time we don't want to see that. Right? We don't want to say, like, maybe your friend doesn't want to say, I don't have much self-love, right? And I'm getting it from this external source. I can just put all of my attention there. I don't have to look here, and I function in that way.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you nailed it on the head. It's just unfortunate because the healing and the work has not been done. And now it's just manifested not even in the partner, it's now in the child. And you're right, you used the perfect word. It's an addiction. It's an addiction. And they're, expecting another child, and they're worried about all these things, and they're talking to me about it, and she's like, you probably think I'm crazy. I'm like, I don't think you're crazy. I said, you've got to change the way you think about it. If you're putting out all this energy and intention, and you're building up all this stuff that doesn't even exist yet around the second child because of the codependent relationship you have with your first, there's only you that needs to do the work, and only you that can make these shifts happen. But it is fully an addiction, because the value of the child gives for the mother is the value that she gives to herself. And it's manifested in her profession. It's manifested in other aspects of her life. And it's unfortunate, but I share what I can, but it's up to that individual to do the work. And, I'm not, and it's difficult, like listener land, like these people that we talk about or use experiences from our friends or clients, whoever we care deeply about, like I can't change the way this person thinks. I can only do what I can do, and I couldn't change the way they thought during that relationship and the marriage and the divorce and now. But I can share what I can share, and what they do with that information is what they do with it. Do I still love these people? Do I still share and try? 100%. But I also respect where they're at in their journeys. So I just want to throw that out there because it's not easy. Like it's not easy.
You can't, all these things exist for a reason, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. I mean, until somebody wants to change and it's in their timeline to make that happen and they really want to do it, there's no information. There's nothing you can do to shift somebody. But what you can do is offer them unconditional love for where they're at, right? And, vulnerability is key here. And a lot of times when I feel inspired or I see somebody, I talk about myself.
Exactly.
And give them examples of how I saw something or how I experienced something. And I always try to do that through inspiration. And other times I'm just guided to just listen. Don't share anything because it's not going to make any material difference. And all they need is for you to hold space for them in that moment. But you said something I really want to talk about and reiterate because it was really powerful. You talked about the value that you give your children. I'm going to say it just a little bit differently, is a direct reflection of the value that you give yourself. That's what it is. You said it just slightly differently, but that's the truth. So often people believe that what they tell their child is going to give their child validation. That's not true. It's the energy that you give to yourself that they feel. Because, I'm not going to say unfortunately, if your friend continues on that path, you'll watch her children have the same exact values, right? Lower self-esteem.
Yeah.
Struggling because that's her energy and they pick up on that energy and it's that simple. It's not what you tell them, it's how you feel about yourself. And that's the reflection that you're giving to your children every time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, those are things you told me that several years ago. We were on a trip somewhere and it's one of the number one things that I have forgotten. I really think about it like, okay, so how am I feeling about me? And where you're speaking, this came to me too. I'm guilty of being on my phone. I'm totally guilty of that. I'm not, going to pretend not to be that person. And even when I should be more present, should be more present with my husband, more present with my children, in those moments. And I've really tried to work on why am I doing that? Am I codependent with my phone? On a fake reality, like of what am I even digesting? I don't even know. What am I looking at? I don't even know. I can't tell you. That's what's kind of sad about it. I don't even know there's nothing so profound. Now, do I use my phone for good? Yes. Do I listen to meditations? Yes. Do I look up affirmations? I look up, like I said, meditations, guided meditations, frequencies, sound, healing, spiritual things. Of course. But am I doing that all the time? No. I'm just doom scrolling. Yes. And I feel like I don't even feel, I know. In those moments of doom scrolling, what am I feeding? What am I fueling? Because am I in a place where I can't just feel, I can't be present. I can't just sit down and play a game with my children. I can't do this or do that, because some people say being on my phone is self-care. Is it? Or is it because you're in a place that you're not feeling yourself with self-love, that you're getting validation from your phone or the instant satisfaction or the gratification, the high, the rush, the endorphins of just seeing new content, looking at things, seeing what other people are doing? What is it? And as you're talking, it hit me because I think like, okay, in these last several weeks, we've been going through some transitions in my house, and what does this look like? I feel like I know I've been on my phone probably too much. I haven't been present like in those moments when I should be. And it's making me think, okay, so what energy am I putting out for my kids? Like, that's awful.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say that,
Yeah.
like, it's not great. Am I proud? No. But what energy am I putting out there for my partner? Like, how does he feel in those moments? How do I feel in those moments when it's reversed? And I really think that that's something, to like when you're in those spaces or in those places when we all have peaks and valleys and highs and lows and moments and just being human where we gravitate to certain things. And I think as a society we are codependent on our phones and the high and the joy our phones bring us, and it's one of those things. And what energy does that put out for other people when we're just sitting there? Do I not love myself enough to just sit with myself? Like, that's something that I'm thinking, like, am I just so dissatisfied with the moment that I can't just be? So it's really made me think, as we've been talking, like, what does that look like and the why, and even if you say I love myself, like, there are still those moments where it's like, but why? Why am I over consuming something like that,
Yeah, I mean, phones are one thing, right? And I do the same thing. I can be on my phone a lot. It is two things, well, three things, I believe. One is exactly what you said. Not very many people are comfortable with just being. They're just being there. They get bored. We're used to the dopamine hits, right? There's so much content out there that we walk around with it in our hands constantly. And deflection. You're deflecting when you're doing that, right? Instead of being present with whatever you're doing. And that just may be just being, just sitting there, having a little bit of, God forbid, boredom.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's awful because I've also been on my phone a lot. And even as you were talking about it, I think about this morning. I got up, I got my coffee, I was sitting there, and the first thing I did was grab my phone. And my dog, Tug, got up by me on the couch and wanted me to pet him. And I'm holding my phone and he's pawing at me. And I had to make a conscious choice. Like, do I need to sit here and look at bullshit that doesn't mean anything to me?
Yeah.
No. So I put it down and I just put my full attention on him, right? And I'm going to use this as a little challenge for myself. Because, in the evening, if we're sitting there and we're watching TV, I see Troy on his phone. It gives me, well, he's on his phone. I could be on my phone. But that's bullshit. That's just excuses. So I'm going to really challenge myself, and I'm going to check in next week to really disconnect from my phone this week, and be more present and allow myself to just sit there and be. You don't always have to have these distractions. And we get addicted. We're addicted to the dopamine hit is what we're addicted to. Right. And then that adds into everything else. You're not present. You're allowing yourself to have deflection. So anybody who wants to join the challenge with me to be
I'm joining.
Yeah. I'm gonna just, in the evenings, I'm gonna leave my phone in the kitchen. I'm not gonna have it by my where I sit there and chill out, by the couch, and see how it feels. I'm sure it'll feel uncomfortable. It will feel uncomfortable because we get so used to it, right? There's some stat about, if people leave their phone at home, or how many people would turn around to go get it. Like 90% of people would turn around to go get their phone.
Oh, yeah. I believe it. Yeah, I'm going to accept your challenge because like I said many times in these episodes, the podcast is also for me. I'm healing too. And as I'm talking, I'm like, shit, look, I could be better. And you're right. And I love that you was bringing up Tug, because like dogs are so innocent. And I think that's a perfect example. And I'm laying on my couch, Boomer, Maple, whoever, one of my dogs comes to join me, and they paw at me. And that really should be the number one. It's just of innocence, like, hey, I love you, I want your attention. And they're telling us they're teachers. I mean, our children are teachers, pets are teachers. There's just this pure innocence in these little souls. I think about when my kids say mommy, 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 and I'm on my phone for what am I reading, or what am I even digesting? I think that especially as my kids get older, I think about time and the value of time and the output of what am I putting in and what am I going to get out of this? Just because they're children doesn't mean, like, I've seen this somewhere, we need to normalize adult relationships with our children. Like, people think that right now is the only time you can have a relationship with your kids. And then when they're adults, then what is it? You know, my greatest relationship with my mom has been as an adult, you know, but it is a moment that I can't get back. So what am I putting into this moment in this section of life with them to fuel the rest of the life that I'll have with them? Because the majority of their life will be as an adult with me, not as this small child. And so these moments are precious, especially even relationships and partnerships. Partnerships change all the time. You don't know. Whatever that change may be, whether it's, you know, whether you're together for 100 years and you just change as people, or whether you're not together, or whether it's whatever, I don't know. What are you giving into the moment of that relationship with somebody, and how are you fueling those relationships? So I'm going to accept your challenge, because I think that's something that I know I need to be better at. And you know, I even had this conversation with Blake, because we were talking about, you know, last week you shared the affirmation, and I have the affirmation where it starts like, Myra, I love you. And I have that affirmation, and I'm like, you know what? I should bring that back out. I haven't used that in a long time. And I wrote mine out, and, you know, Blake saw me writing it out, and he's like, you know, hey, I'm interested. And so he tailored it for him. And so we both been checking in on each other, like, hey, did you do your affirmation? You know, like,
yeah,
because, you know, it's a habit. You got to rewire your thinking. But we also talked about education and growth, and what does that look like, you know, and how does that help us fuel our love for ourselves? Because for me, knowledge equals love. I love to know things. And when you talked about, you know, mind, body, and spirit, right? Mind, body, spirit. But I wanted, mind, body, soul. Thank you.
Same thing.
Yeah, but for my mind too is also knowledge and learning. Like, that for me is of the highest form of self-love. Like, I love to digest information. I love it. Like, it's my favorite thing. And when I can learn something new and I'm educating myself and checking that off, like, that's great. That's how I keep feeling my tippy top self, you know, whatever that is. And so that's something that Blake and I talked about, was every day in our evenings setting time where we all read. Because I love to read books. He loves to read books. He listens to a lot of audiobooks, but he's wanting to take a certification for the PMP, project management certification, for anyone that cares or knows. But we were talking about finding time in our day for that. And he's like, we could all read. Nola's learning to read. She's one of the top readers in her little kindergarten class. So she can sit down and read. I can read, he can read, but it's whatever we're reading and digesting, and it's being present and putting things away to help build those healthy relationships. So those are some things that we talked about too. Like, every day we set this dedicated space, and it goes back to that self-care. You know, he wants to grow and learn here. I want to read. Our child wants to read. How are we? And then it also goes back to what you're saying too. We're all putting out good energy. You know, when you give love to yourself, your children see that, your partner sees that too. So when Magnolia's thinking about, oh, mommy likes to move her body, like, I'm not punishing myself, but she sees I'm moving my body. So then it makes her want to move her body. I don't need to tell her to move her body. She already sees it. She sees mommy likes to read. She loves to read. So there's these little things that we can demonstrate without having to force it on to people or to force it into their minds, because they can see what we're doing. And so if she sees that I'm taking care of myself, then that portrays, okay, I want to take care of myself too.
Yeah, exactly. One of the other things that I see a lot just with phones is when you're out to eat. And I saw this like last week. I saw a family of 4, and all of them were on their devices. Like, they might have got off them when they were eating, but barely maybe. And one of my rules, and this is a boundary I have, when I go out to eat with somebody, I don't even usually take my phone into the restaurant. And if somebody is eating with me, I expect the same respect. And even if we don't have much to say, you can just be present with each other. You know, I think we get really uncomfortable when there's silence. It's like we have to fill it with something. And that's not necessarily the case, you know. Just being with each other or being with yourself can sometimes be the best thing, right? And to your point, like, it's being present. You know, if you guys decide as a family, I love that. Like, hey, it's time for everybody to go get their book and read. You know, you have an intention. You're going to be present with the book or the whatever you're reading. And I find for me sometimes, specifically sometimes I'll get a book out, but my mindset is not with the book. Like I could read something and then I realize my mind was everywhere but that. I don't even know what I just read.
Yep.
Right. So it's like building that energy to be present with whatever you're doing. Right. That's part of forming boundaries even for yourself.
Exactly.
Right. That's a boundary for yourself. And when you start there, then you could start to build out boundaries with other people. Right. You got to, usually everything starts from, well, not usually, always starts from yourself, right? And so really recognizing where you have an opportunity to set up better boundaries, even for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Something I want to go back to that came to my mind as we were talking, seeing Tressa a video the other day, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it said, but it was like, in order for you to break the generational chains, or in order for you to break
Really look it up.
In order for you to break the generational change tendency, whatever you're trying to break out of, the generational cycles, trauma, whatever you're trying to break out of, you have to stop pleasing that generation.
Yes, that was it. Yeah. You've got to stop wanting to please that generation, right?
Yes. And it came into my mind when I was reading off too, like, part of the codependency is over pleasing others or feeling responsible for others' emotions. And those two things go hand in hand, in my opinion, because like I think about relationships with, there's a few generational cycles that I've been actively working on healing from and breaking. And I want to break those so that, like you said, your children feel everything energy. Those is all through the energy of what you're putting out. And I'm trying to break those so they're not continuing to pass on for generations. And as soon as I saw that, I sent it to Tristan. I'm like, oh my God. And it hit me because I think about, like, especially with my mother, I used to find myself over pleasing. I'm not going to say I am now because I'm not fully doing that. I found myself doing it way more a long time ago. I would over please her. I would feel responsible for her emotions, and like when she was upset or hurt by something, honestly, going to church is an easy one, because if I didn't go by her expectations or whatever she thought I needed to be doing in that moment, it would make her feel a certain way, and then it made me feel responsible and blah blah blah. But now I've stopped. It just, like, the other day she said something about it. I think I sent her a thumbs up. And not to be rude, but I was just like, I'm not even feeding the beast. I'm not feeding.
Yes.
Feed me, Seymour. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. I'm not, because the more and more I have the damn discussion about it, I'm continuing to fuel it. I just sent a thumbs up. And if you want to call me about anything else, we'll chat. But I'm just done talking about it. I do not need to explain myself. I do not need to bring a reason or explanations or excuses or thoughts or feelings or whatever that is, or whatever, and that's one example. The other example too, we talked a few episodes ago about money. I do not need to talk about my financial situations with my family. I do not need to lower myself or go above myself to meet their expectations, or I'm just going to fuel those generational cycles around money, or I don't need to bring up every single thing or share this or share that. Or if I'm in a pursuit of something new, I don't need to tell them that either. I just don't need to feed those things and just keep it going, because that's when these cycles just continue to stay, because you're continuing to please that generation. You're trying to please them, make yourself small. When I'm talking, the feeling I get is like small, like I'm trying to make myself small to fit in with those groups of people. And you're just you'll never break out of it if you don't stop. You got to stop, and that's part of the codependency thing too that I was reading about. You're continuing to just feed it, fuel it, you're giving yourself. And once you, like we've talked about, everything's an energy exchange. When I exchange my energy here, what am I taking in? And so sending the thumbs up is not me being mean, it's with love, but I'm not allowing the energy exchange anymore over it. I just don't care. I'm done with it. This is what it is. And I've found this in other relationships, especially with family, where I've got people who want to talk about certain things, or they want certain expectations from me, or they want to talk down on other people, or they want to talk about how they're doing and they're so successful and they're so well, but these people are not, and these people aren't going to get it, and da 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 da. And I've just stopped talking. Like, I just stopped. And when I've stopped, I can feel the conversation kind of bounce back and forth. Like you can feel that they're like just internally talking to themselves at this point, externally. Like there is just this, it's in their head. It's not this outward conversation anymore because I'm no longer fueling it.
Yeah, you stop feeding what we talked about. Feeding the beast is what it is, right? And this is how you start to set up boundaries.
Exactly.
Like that is no longer serving me. And if it serves you, wonderful. You know, like for your mother, you know, if going to church serves her, beautiful. If it doesn't serve you, then that's okay as well. But people want people to perform to their comfort level.
Exactly.
And that's where we come into these codependencies and we lack boundaries. So her comfort level is that church is her thing.
The spot.
Right? It's the spot. That's great for her. She wants you to perform so she can feel comfortable. Right? And you said some cool things in there about how often do we shift who we are to try to fix somebody else's discomfort, their emotions. Their emotions aren't our responsibility. You know, my husband's been going through some stuff and he's been stressed, and I've had to really watch that. You know, his emotions are his responsibility. I can't go in and fix it for him. But what I can do is offer him love and support, which I do, but I can't change his emotion. I'm not going to go and shift his emotion for him. That's impossible. And the more that I try to do that, that builds codependency. Right? And you have to really be aware because you love these people and you want them to feel joy and you want them to feel comfortability, but it cannot be at the expense of yourself because that is an inside job. It's an internal job. You can never fill it, ever, right? We try to do it all the time for ourselves. Like I've recently noticed I've been a little bit like, what's the word? Not edgy. Like I've been drawn to wanting to buy things right now. I've just been drawn to it, right? Like I want to fill myself up with shit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I did just buy myself a cool Freebird coat. I mean, that was...
No, I've been there too. I don't know what it is.
Like,
it's in the air. It's in the air because I really haven't wanted to buy shit. And that's part of why I'm on my damn phone all night. I'm just looking at shit. Like I want to buy shit. And I'm like, what the hell? Why?
Well, it's to make you feel something, right? And I've had to recognize like, okay, why am I all of a sudden wanting to give myself things? What am I missing? What am I not doing for myself? What am I deflecting from, right? I've had to stop and ask myself those questions. And, you know, those are not easy questions to answer, right? And I think I've kind of been in a little funk. So instead of just addressing what that is, I am deflecting with things.
Yep. Yeah, so, I'm with you.
Yeah, that's a boundary for yourself, right? Exactly. And that's self-awareness.
Yep.
And I don't quite have, I kind of know, but I like just recognizing it has shifted my behavior, right? I don't have to go and purchase something. I don't have to, you know, be putting things in my cart and waiting for the day that I get it to get that little dopamine hit.
Exactly.
So, you know, and I kind of know what I've been avoiding to some degree. And then I'm like, okay, I've just kind of decided I'm just going to go into meditation. And I have more time on the weekends. That'll happen tonight. And just kind of release that, right? That's my way of releasing it, is acknowledging it. Thank you, universe, for bringing it to me. Just kind of shows that little bit of shadow that I have to work on. And now I can release it and then move forward.
Yeah, I like that. So everyone out there, there's something that you've recognized listening to this episode before you go to bed, or if you're listening to it this morning and you have a second, whatever you're doing, take a second and meditate and release it. If something's made you aware and it's come to you in this moment or during this episode, do it, release it.
Yeah.
Cut those cords.
Cut the cords. Yeah. Do a meditation, do some breath work. You know, there's multiple ways, right? One way you can do it with breath work that I like is imagine on your exhale, because that's where you release, right? On your inhale, you can bring in what you want. Maybe you bring in more peace and love. And on your exhale, you're releasing whatever that is, right? You're releasing on your exhale, you're releasing the fear, the anxiety, the I'm not good enough, the whatever it is that you're recognizing, right? The deflection, right? So on your out breath, you release that. On your in breath, you bring in whatever you want to replace it with. And when we boil it down, before we end today, when you boil it down, and I'd like to bring this up on one of our upcoming podcasts, The Scale of Consciousness. Oh, yeah. But when you boil it down from an emotional perspective, you really come at it in two ways. You're either coming at it through love or you're coming at it through fear. And there's a zillion emotions underneath that. But even if you simplify it to that the in breath is love and the out breath is fear, right? Whatever that fear is, you could do it that way as well.
Yeah. So, yeah. I love it. I know what I'm doing tonight.
Yeah. Look at us.
And I know what I'm doing this week. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, well, we're not going to be on our phones. That's what we're not going to be doing.
I'll send you a message via carrier pigeon.
Well, just send it to me telepathically. I'll get it. Yeah, we'll work on that third eye energy.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
All right. Well, this was awesome.
Yes.
Just what I needed, as usual.
Yep.
So until next time, keep your vibrations high.
And stay sassy.